Hello everyone and welcome to the live stream, and I want to first say hope everyone is doing great, staying safe, healthy, all of that good stuff. And I am one of the fortunate ones who has pre-ordered or did pre-order the Lectrosonics DCR822, and I've had the opportunity to use it on set for a couple full days, which I got some things I want to tell you guys about that, and I'm really looking forward to sharing with you my experience, because it's one thing when you get a piece of gear or when you hear about a piece of gear and you read all the specs and you're like, okay, I think that's going to work in my workflow, but it's a whole other experience when we get these tools on set. And hello and thank you everyone for being here. Just make sure everyone can hear me and everything is working. So it's funny, right before the counter went down, I was like, oh, I didn't grab the 411 because I wanted to show you guys like physically. I have it sitting right behind me here on the follow cart, so at some point I'll get up and walk over there and walk back. But there's plenty we can talk about this unit, and I believe this was announced online on one of the Sound Summit videos, and that's where I first saw it. And Carl Winkler announced this DCR822 there. And we've been seeing a lot of announcements online lately. I mean, obviously 2020 has been a complicated, to say the least, year for a lot of us. And so, with no NAB or anything like that, we're seeing this whole shift online with manufacturers announcing products and doing things that normally would have been done in Las Vegas. So my initial reaction when I first saw this, and I had been waiting steadily behind to wait as long as I could to upgrade to any digital wireless. And it wasn't that I thought that it wasn't going to work for me, and it most certainly wasn't something that I didn't want. I just wanted to give it time for more things to hit the market. And when I saw this get announced, I don't know about you guys, but my first reaction was no slot mount. Where's slot mount? I mean, because I had it in my head, that's what was coming next, because so many of the recorders we're using and some of the technology we were using with the super slot racks and the different devices that can attach to the recorders that give power and audio, I was so surprised to see them come out with this form factor in the first place. And I thought about it, and then I realized that, wait a minute, this is something that I think I can use, that I'm actually interested in. So I gave it a little bit of thought, and I gave my dealer a call, and I said, hey, let's put one on pre-order. So this right here, I purchased with my own money, and I actually had sold off an old recorder, and I said, well, how am I going to reinvest this? I said, well, I'm going to dip my toe into digital wireless. So I got a couple cameras set up today, and we're going to talk about some of the features in this without getting too technical, because I know you guys are fully capable of reading and knowing all that stuff, and there's already existing content out there with the specifications of this. Really, my intention is to show you this unit and kind of give you just one sound person to another, experience using it and how it worked for me on set. Because as we know, on-set experiences for wireless can be a volatile place. It's one thing when you're in a controlled environment and you're testing something out, but it's another thing when you're out there on set with all of the wireless that's going on, not only from our carts, from all of the talent channels to IFBs, Comtechs, comm systems, but also other departments, including gaffers with the remote controlled lighting systems, the Teradeks for videos, even the techno cranes and some of the remote heads and things that they're using, and all the stuff we see on the forums of like, oh, I was on set yesterday and this happened. So what I'm going to share with you today and what we're going to talk about is I put it in one of those environments that was really a lot going on, and I'm excited to tell you how this thing performed. So we've got this camera here looking at me. And more importantly, I have an overhead cam that you guys can see this here. So that way, if you have questions or we can go through some of the menus, we can do so. So first thing I want to talk about is, what did I get this for? Why did I buy the Lectrosonics DCR822? Because we all have our kits, our own personal choices, and I'm not really a big believer in this is better than this or this mic is better than this. I don't talk about any of that foolishness because it's foolishness. Everything that we use are tools, and really when you're working at the level of using equipment like Lectrosonics, you really start just comparing, just apples to apples when it just comes to the different brands and types. So for me, I'm already invested into a lot of Lectrosonics equipment. And that was probably the first and primary reason, but why I decided to go this direction for my first digital system. So all of my wireless, I don't know if you can see in the cart behind me, is I've got 2 venues with 12 VRTs. I've also got 411s. Somewhere back there, or actually in a case, I've got a 688 with 3 SRCs. And I got an SRB and 2 411s and another kit. So I got 3 total kits that I use that kind of work together in tandem. So along with that, all of the transmitters that go, like 14 transmitters that go with all the different wireless, that this was compatible with every single transmitter that I own. That was the first deciding factor. So, there's some very attractive and super sexy stuff out there that just would require me to kind of go a different direction. And I didn't really see myself going that different direction right now. However, I do have some Sony wireless for my comm system, so I'm not against mismatching, but it's just kind of one of these guys that, hey, if I'm using it and it already works, I'm just going to keep expanding on that level. The second reason why I decided to go with this particular unit is because I love modular systems. So this being a self-contained unit with the connectors on the bottom, it doesn't require super slotting for power. So, a super slot is amazing because you can put it in and it powers and it gives you audio and it's no messy cables. But the disadvantage is that you have to change out plates or work with different types of plates or think about attachments if you want to do batteries and stuff like that. And there's nothing wrong with that, but this profile is very usable. So my 2 411s, which I love dearly, this is going to be kind of like doing the same job that those 411s are going to do. And I didn't even think about this for cart use when I bought it. I thought, well, I could use this for very low profile bag rig type situations. I was even thinking about using it for like a harness rig that doesn't have, like, where I'm not carrying around a bag, and which is kind of a whole other story of just being a 40-something guy that doesn't want to carry around pack mule audio. And the third and honest reason is I don't know why, what for yet. And what I mean by that is that I like to think modular with my systems, like I said earlier, and oftentimes the role of what it is that they do is depending upon the situation, the problem I'm trying to solve, or what I'm doing on set. So this can work in my cart, it can work in my bag, and then as you guys know, since this thing has a built-in recorder, it can also work without a bag. It can work independently by itself, which also is going to have some advantages and help solve some problems. So let's go right into the chat here for a second and check in with you guys, and then we'll talk about the basic features of the unit to start us off, and then I'm going to go into my set experiences on day 1 and 2 and talk about some of the specifics and things that I have noticed thus far on the setup. So the first thing I want to mention is thank you for being here, number 1. And number 2, I'm posting and filming a field review on this. So this is kind of the preliminary chat for my experience on set with the unit. And then I'm working on like a stress test. Some of you guys voted on the the poll I put on my channel here on YouTube on some of the comparisons that you want to see. So I have a good idea of what it is that you guys would like to see me do with this as far as really seeing what its performance capabilities are. All right, so Lloyd, Levi, Dan, great to see you guys here. Great to see some familiar faces as well. And good to see you. Sound Speed, great to see you. And David, and then Mickey, glad to be able to catch you. Mickey, thanks for being here. Looks like we got a great group of professionals here, and let's just get right into it, guys. So what is the DCR822? Obviously, it is the same size, has a general same weight and feel as a 411, and what that means is any 411 hardware that you have, whether it's custom or any sort of rack mounts things that you have, for those of you who have 411 wireless, this will fit. So in your bags and whatever, and that's huge for me. I don't mind investing in new stuff, but I don't want to change all my old stuff. So that the size and form factor is pretty much the same thing that you're going to get out of a 411. Batteries here, as you can see on the initial video, they said that lithium batteries is what it takes. You can also use nickel metal hydride in here. I did a runtime test on that, and since we're talking about it, so battery life, and I posted on Facebook on the Lectrosonics group, so if someone sees that there on the battery life for alkaline, nickel metal hydride is what I was using, and I'll show you the brand. Let me power this off here. So here's the batteries. I'm just using these PowerX Pro nickel metal hydride batteries, and I got a little over 4 hours, 4.5 hours on these, and to me that's a huge plus. So you could easily get through a simple interview kind of half-day thing or something like that with this, with nickel metal hydride. Now, full disclosure, I'm going to retime this battery test because I had one of the receivers turned off, or not one of the receivers, one of the channels turned off on this when I did about halfway, 2 hours in, and then I turned it on. So my guesstimation is probably about 4 hours on nickel metal hydride and alkaline. And then I did a test on lithium on day 2 to get a sense of the runtime, and got a little over 6 hours for lithium. So I would say you can count on 6 hours using both receivers with lithium batteries. I also did recording on the unit simultaneously for multiple takes and did not have any issues, and that's just the battery life. So 6 hours for lithium, 4 for nickel metal hydride. One thing that wasn't exactly clear and that I was kind of worried about, because this thing I believe cost me US around $3,300 something and change, which is really probably a little less than what it would be for two 411As a long time ago when they used to cost more money. I think they used to be around the 15 or 16 range. I'm not sure what they run for now. But what I was worried about was I knew it had AES out or analog out, but I was worried that I was going to have to use a digital transmitter to get AES out. Because on my cart here, I've got all 12 VRTs allocated for analog. And I've also got my AES 342 4 inputs here on my 552 feeding into the Kantar for those 16 channels. But what I also have is 8 additional AES, and I wanted to be able to simply plug this into the patch bay of the cart, into the AES channel, and then assign in the grid where I want to go. And I was using digital hybrid. So I was kind of a Hail Mary and changing the output to AES, and it did work. So that's a beautiful thing. Like some of you guys have seen the AES, the bottom plate for their SRCs, where you can actually get an AES out. That's one way to do it. But you don't have to be using a digital wireless to utilize the AES out. So there's some intel for you. The other thing I wanted to share with you guys is I was going to screen share Wireless Designer with you and see and show you like some scan time and stuff like that, and I couldn't get it to work. And then I finally tried a different couple cables. Then I read the quick start guide, and it says it is compatible with Wireless Designer. Here, let me show you with the USB port, but that's a future update. So I was like, oh no, this is not working. I wonder if it's a bad cable. And let me show you the port for that real quick. So here is the port so this is the rear of the unit, and that's where the I guess that's micro USB. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, here, where you would plug in. And this is, I believe, the first portable unit that they have made that can work, or receiver that can work with Wireless Designer, besides the venue systems and DSQDs and those rack mount units. So that's exciting news. You can use that with Wireless Designer for those who are. And then as you can see here, let me actually turn it around so you can read it correctly. You have your DC. This will also work with your existing wireless connectors for your BDS systems that go into your Lectrosonics stuff. Not the 411. Well, actually, I could be wrong about that. This is a screw-on connector versus a push-in. So that'll be to be determined. I'm not sure about that. And then we have AES 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 for a total of 4 channels, or 4 audio independent discrete channels if you're using digital wireless output or analog outputs. So how I was using it on set is with this AES 1 and 2, I had on my channel 1 boom, I had a digital hybrid wireless transmitter. I was actually using an MM1, which is a Sound Devices mic pre, into a SMQV, working at 100 milliwatts on set, coming into channel 1 of this receiver. And then channel 2, which I was using for another purpose, was a newer HMA, which was in new hybrid mode. So those are, obviously you have North American 400 and new hybrid. So I was using 2 simultaneous modes, but to get to the point, guys and gals and everyone, the AES 1 and 2 was carrying both of those channels. So I was doing that with one cable AES out. So that was the routing possibilities. And speaking of routing possibilities, let me show you guys, go into the menu system real quick and talk about modes and routing possibilities. So here, let's go ahead and power it back up like so. As you can see, it powers up very, very quickly, ready to go. And then I'm going to try to make sure there's no glare and everything is focused, so bear in there with me. There we go. All right, so we're going to go menu here, and then I'm going to go to audio setup. And then as you can see, you got audio level. These right here are AES, so you cannot adjust the audio level at AES. Now, if I take that to an analog output, I can adjust it like you're normally used to seeing on the 411s, where you can attenuate it to, say, a mic level, like -30 or 40, or even boost it up past unity gain. And I'm just trying to make sure you guys don't get the reflection there. Okay, cool. So output type, I can change that here to analog or AES on either the channel 1 or 2 or receiver 1 or 2. And I'm just going to keep them both AES for now. And then in the routing, as you can see, receiver 1, I can choose AES 1 left, AES 2 right, AES 2 left, or AES 2 right. And then let me make sure they're both there. Yeah. See how it's kind of weird, because it goes 1R, as in 1 right, channel 1 left, channel 2 right, channel 2 left. And then I scroll down and I have AES 1 right, AES 1 left, AES 2 right, AES 2 left. Now, if I go back here, you can also see that we have smart noise. And, if I go back here, I want to actually show you the compatibility mode that I'm in, and then show you something super, super cool. Because there was some confusion on, okay, is this saying 2 channels or 4 channels? And I want to show you how that works specifically, because that has to do with your compatibility mode and the type of transmitters you're using. So in compatibility mode, you have compatibility mode 1, which is for receiver 1. And then you also have compatibility mode 2 for receiver 2. So here, as you can see, both are set to NA hybrid. Now, if I go here, I can actually update this to the DCHX, which is the digital stereo transmitter receiver. And then you have channel 2 or channel 1. And then you also have the duet channel 2 and channel 1. And what that is it's saying that you can transmit both channels. Since the duet and the DCHX are both stereo, you can either choose just one or both. That's what that is there. So let me go back there where I'm supposed to be. And then you also have the D2, which is for like the DPRA or your new D2 transmitter, digital transmitters. And then you have JA hybrid, which I believe is an overseas. And then you have new hybrid, which would be like your SMBs, SMWBs, or if you've reblocked your SMVs or SMQVs, you also will have a hybrid mode, a new hybrid mode in that as well, which I think is the 50 hertz deviation version. And then you have European hybrid, North American hybrid, and I bet you that JA is probably Japan, is my guess. And then here we're back to the DCHX both. I'm going to actually put it in stereo DCHX because that is a stereo transmitter. So it's DC digital channel transmitter. And then I'm going to go back to 2, and then I'm also going to change that to DCHX both. Now I'm going to go back to the routing and check this out, guys. This is where it gets super awesome. If we go to the routing, look at this. Now I've got AES, see my OCD can't do AES 2 left and right for receiver 1. So I have to even change that now. Okay, so as you can see, now I have AES 1 left, AES 1 right, AES 2 left, AES 2 right for 4 total outputs on this. And if I was receiving signals from those 2 transmitters, of course, I would be able to go into record and record all 4 of those channels, which I have done that. Now here, look at the top of the, and you can see the blinking here. I know it's kind of hard to see, but you can see something blinking there. That lets me know that the receiver is recording. So I'm going to go back here to the SD card and simply press stop, and then it says recording saved. Now I have not had the opportunity yet to go listen to the recordings, because when I told you that I had done some recording on it, I have, but I need to go put them in Pro Tools and listen and see what's there. I mean, my guesstimation is that they are polyphonic files 4824. I didn't see anything in the menu that allows me to choose the what type of recording, unless, oh, I didn't want to record. I wanted to go to see if there was a oh yeah, you can change file. Here's all my files. That's cool. That's my first time actually seeing that. And trying to make sure you guys can see. Thanks for bearing in there with me. And takes, you can also do scene take, naming, and of course format card. And I most certainly don't want to do that because I want to listen back later to what it is that I'm doing. So I want to go into next day 1 and tell you how I set this up. Or just recap, because I already told you what I did with the 2 channels and modes, but just talk about my experience on set and how it performed, because that's really what this comes down to. Because as we know, a super big feature, or probably the biggest feature on this system, and one of the tipping points for me for going this direction was vector diversity, which is, to me, and I'm taking a stab at this, guys, is the future for digital wireless for Lectrosonics systems for all receivers. Is, I think, this vector diversity, from a performance standpoint, that's what we're going to be checking. That's what's going to be happening. That's what I hope to really focus on most for the field review. That's why I did the box opening video already, and that's why I'm talking about my experience with it on set, because I really want to have a video focused just on stress testing this thing. And it's funny, I was speaking with Carl at Lectrosonics about this. I said, Carl, I'm going to put this up against the 411 head to head, and I'm going to see what it does. And, you know, I'm just letting you know. I said, go for it. So he gave me the go ahead, and I'm going to make a video, and I'm going to say like it is and what happened. So I'm going to check in with you guys on any comments or questions, just so you know that I'm here and listening to you. And let's see here. Hey, B-roll audio, it's great to see you. Hey, just finished up dinner here in California. Yes. Yeah, it's probably, what, about 6:30 your guys' time, 9:30 my time here. And good to see you, B-roll audio. Thanks for being here. Alan, great to see you here as well. You need another 5 frames delay. Oh, thank you, Alan. Alan has actually steadily been helping me. And I think, where is, let me change that right now. Where usually it is right here. Oh, I needed output delay to match the video thing. Bear in there with me, guys, so I can find that on Ecamm. Where are you? Let me go into preferences and see if it's there. Okay, audio. 6. There it is. Thank you, Alan. I love Alan. Alan is always helping me out with this stuff here, making sure that everything looks good. I appreciate it. That should take care of that. Got about 6 frames happening. Alejandro, great to see you. Is the DCR822 a quad or dual receiver? Someone told me it was quad. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I also was kind of confused. I'm like, how many channels is this thing really? So here's the simple version, Alejandro. This is 2 receivers in this package. Each receiver has 2 RF front ends. So what that means is that it would be like having 2 411As, meaning each front end is using 2 separate receiver ends. So that is kind of what makes it better than, say, a device that's using switch mode or switch diversity, like an SRC, for instance, which does not have the ability to run 2 independent receivers per channel for 2 total channels. The 4 channels comes from if you're using a digital compatible transmitter. So if you're using like the DCHX transmitter or a duet transmitter, which can send 2 channels, then this thing can actually receive 4 separate channels of audio, but it's still 2 receivers, because that 2 channels on that digital transmitter is in fact 1 transmitter, 1 receiver receiving both channels. So see how easy it is to get confused. So all you have to know about this is that if you have a digital transmitter that can send 2 channels, like the DCHX, like the camera hop transmitter, I'm probably saying that wrong, but the 2-channel transmitter that's digital, you can actually receive both channels here on one of these. Or if you had 2 of those, you would have 4 total channels, and you could record 4 of those. So as you can see, it's very easy to go from 2 to 4. Great question, and back and forth. Because really it's just the flexibility. So Dan, Ali Andres, dual with 4-channel capability if you're using the right transmitters. All right, and then just scrolling down here, just was figured I'd keep up with you. And yeah, Alan's right. 2 mono transmitter channels, 2 dual transmitter channels, 4 total audio signals. Very well explained. Thank you, Alan. And Alejandra says, how well does the DCR822 work with other units? What's the range like? That's what we're talking about next, Alejandra. I'm not going to spoil it. I was just going to get through some of these comments here and let you guys know I was paying attention to you. Okay, Ken, will you be able to compare it to the 411A receivers? I'm super interested in the vector diversity as digital wireless system tend to not be forgiving when strapped to sweaty bodies. Yeah, so Ken, the answer to your question is yes. I am shooting a field review. So it won't be a live stream. It's more of like a formal video that I will be stress testing and comparing it directly to the 411A. Lloyd, Michael Wynn, do you like the double A's rather than the 9-volt? Lloyd, my first instinct was no. I don't like the fact that it's double A's. And when I got it, I was really pleased to find out that my nickel metal hydrides gave me 4 hours, because that was the big thing for me, because I use the iLifes in my 411As and get about 4 hours, maybe a little more than that. And I didn't want to have to be forced to use lithium batteries if I didn't want to. And don't ever use rechargeable AA lithium batteries, ever, guys, in these. I've heard problems with those before, and just don't do that. Meaning it's not safe. From what I understand, other mixers have told me they've had units get damaged as a result. Lectrosonics transmitters primarily. I do wish they would have cut the weight of the 822 a bit. The 411s are kind of heavy in a bag. Yeah, that's, it's definitely not the winner as far as weight is concerned, Dan, but I think once you hear about the capabilities, not to try to sell it, but I think you might be thinking a little different. But yeah, if they could have made it lighter, I bet you they would have. But good point. PJ, what's going on? Great to see you here. It's also really good to see the channel members here. B-Roll Audio, Lloyd, PJ, Alan, and you guys will notice that they can throw emojis up with Cantars and 888s and all that kind of stuff, and they have their little icons there, which is awesome. Oh, sorry, Lloyd. Michael Wynn, do you have to have super slot to be able to control a receiver from the Cantar? Yes, and you also have to have the system that allows you to connect it, like a PSE 6-pack that has the upgraded chip in order to do so. So yes, you do. And they also have a system called Hydra, a Hydra system that will allow you to remote control the receiver. I was curious if you're going to be able to use Wireless Designer with the 822. Absolutely yes. I tried it, and then I realized that this is so new, it'll be in a future firmware upgrade version. Good question. Because I wanted to demonstrate it today. I was like, why is this not working? Is it a bad cable or something? Here we go. Lloyd Puckett, I think if you're going to use the Hydra interface, you have to have super slot receivers. That's right. Yeah, that's a good thing, because just because it has, what is it, a DB25 pin on those, or 15 pin, someone help me out on the super slot connectors. You can upgrade your old SRBs, by the way. I upgraded mine to super slot so I could do that. Great point. Just scrolling through these so we can move on. Cantar is awesome. Cool, you set it to record. All right, I'm going to come back to questions and comments just so we can move on. So, day one. So here's what I did. I said to myself, okay, here's a new piece of equipment, and I'm on a job, and every job is an absolute priority to me. I will never, ever throw things into a kit without having a backup plan. And it was very much a soft test. So the Cantar has an input grid capability that allows you to seamlessly switch. You won't be able to see from one click to the other. So hold on. If I go here, so you can't see it because it's out of focus, but if I switch from 1 to 2, I had one that was set to the digital first two channels of my 822, one sending to my boom, and the second was more of an ancillary channel that I could seamlessly click back to the venues with one toggle. And that was really helpful when I was listening and comparing the two. And if I was hearing anything, I could see, okay, is this 822 specific or venue specific when working through anything that needed to get worked through. So the second thing is, so what I said is, hey, I can switch to the venue at any moment. On the venues, of course, I had my Betso Sharkies, LPDAs, headed right to set. The distance from set, the first set was, I was underneath set. So it was actually transmitting through the floor going up. So my LPDAs were extended on the C-stand probably as high as the C-stand can go, which is elevated on this cart on one of these sides. Oh, you can't see it. It's on the other side. Pointed right to set. And then this comes with two separate antennas. It comes with the Block 19 antennas. And let me look. Haven't even taken them out of the bag yet because I was using the lower frequencies. Excuse my vision here. The lower bands. Oh, it's right. Okay, Block 22. So you get two different pairs of antennas. So once, the first thing I did was scan the unit. So I have my VRTs with my Betso Sharkies, LPDAs going right to set. Okay, so there's that. I did a scan. I use Wireless Designer. There's no intermods. Everything's clean. Textbook. Okay, so the first thing I do on this DCR822 is this. Let me show you. Okay, so I go here and all right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a scan, okay? So we're going to go into the RF setup, scan. Now watch this. Watch how fast this bad boy is. Try to get this into focus, guys. There we go. Okay, so that is scanning all the way from 470 to 608. Now currently I have it in North American mode. If you change it to European, it'll go to 614. And that scan is done. That's it. If you press menu again, it pauses. You can go up and down. So just like the 411A, you can go find like relatively where you want to be. I'm just going to choose a channel for the heck of it. Press up and down buttons, and then you're zoomed in. And I'll go ahead and, hypothetically put the first one at 532. And it looks like the second channel is at 488.4. Okay. Now, I didn't scan these on set because I use Wireless Designer and I just matched my VRT, but I wanted to show you guys that. The next thing I did is I went into the compatibility mode and I chose my boom transmitter was a North American hybrid. And then I went to channel 2 and that one was new hybrid. Okay. So let's do this here. Next thing I did is I went to the audio setup. And then audio level. Now, I know we keep going back to that. Let me just show you what happens if you go to analog. So, well, here, output type, analog. Now we'll go to audio level. And as you can see, you got unity gain, which is line level at 0. You can go to +7. And then, of course, you can go all the way down to like -30 or 40 if it's mic level. So let's take that back where it's supposed to go so I don't forget it when I try to use it. And then let's go back to the output type, change it to AES because I was doing both AES. And then the routing, I did AES1 for receiver channel 1 and AES1 left and then AES1 right. And then after that, I was done, okay? And then I sat this, I put some Velcro on top of my cart, and I did this deal right here in the rear, okay? Just, it's kind of out of frame, but you get the deal. I set it on top of my cart, and on top of my cart so here it is, these whip antennas, which I would never use. And that was my way to stress it out, to see if I could put some pressure on it. Now, granted, we were below set, so we were in a vicinity, but it was going through a ceiling and transmitting up. And now that I think of it, I don't even think I had the polar pattern in the right direction, because technically it might have been better to go this way since it was above me, rather than the polarization, since it's linear on these, going this way. So that's a whole other conversation. So anyway, the RF meters and performance was flawless. In fact, I was seeing some fluctuation on my venues because there was some metal and different things on set. And I watched this RF very closely. First, I started with one channel, and then I just went like that. Then I added the second channel, because remember, I was also doing a battery test on nickel metal hydride. Remember how I told you that 4 hours it needs to be retested because I turned on channel 2. And let me show you another cool thing about this if you want to save battery power. You can also go in here to the menu, and I think it's probably in settings, maybe. I'm still learning this thing, guys. Oh, RX power off. So now look at this. So now we have RX2 off, and that's how I started my day. And sonically, I could not notice a difference between the Venue 1 and this. And I say that, and I kind of felt like I did. I know this, because I say, well, I didn't notice a difference. It wasn't like a profound difference. I did feel like the AES output was a little cleaner. It took a minute for me to kind of wrap my head around the Kantar using AES and all that kind of stuff, and how I wanted to structure the gain staging here, but that's a whole other video. But not one RF hit, not one RF problem. However, I was running that boom closer to the 470 range, which is where the walkies are. Now, keep in mind, guys, those things are 5 watts. And you got people all over set keying. And if the boom op's near that, it can supercharge. So I heard like a keek. And I'm thinking, uh-oh, go to the Venue, same thing. Not 822 specific. But it did take a blast from a walkie. What I did is I rescanned the channel for both this and a little bit farther away from wherever that walkie was sitting, and that problem went away. Then I added the second channel, and everything still performed flawlessly. And then I started doing recording with it simultaneously. So I took it in steps. I turned the receiver 2 on, then started recording, and it was amazing. I could have never, and here's why I say it was amazing. The distance I was from set and the obstacles and going through the floor, there's no way I would have been able to use an SRC and switch diversity and make that work. It would have fell apart. And that's not to take away from those SRCs, because those things are amazing for what they do. But the performance on this was rock solid. So what I did on day 2 was a little different. And before I get into what happened on day 2 and what I did with this, I'm going to just move over to you guys and comments and questions. And guys, if you want to see anything in the menu, like I thought about doing a menu dive on this. If you want to see any of the, I think you guys have already watched a video on the, all the different pieces, how the SD card goes in and out and stuff like that. But we can do a little menu diving or any questions. So, all right, so let's scroll through here. Is it a micro or full SD card? Make sure I'm not skipping anyone's comments. So I'm sure others have answered. Alejandro, it's a micro. Let me show it to you. So here is the rubber gasket. Now, it's a micro, and let me show you how it goes out, but I want to say something about this rubber gasket, and I'm going to try to be kind, but I'm going to give a little criticism here, okay? because as you know, all stuff is not perfect, and there's going to be things, and that's why we talk about this stuff. So as you can see, the micro SD card goes in this way, and then it just presses down. Now this card here, guys, this rubber cap, I do not like. Okay, and the reason is two things. It won't stay on top of here, and it's annoying. And I thought, well, is it not sized properly or what it is? And what I realize is it just doesn't fit that well. I can get this here to kind of sit down a little bit, but I'm hoping Lectrosonics, I'm going to talk to them, will make maybe a different version of this or try to make a replacement that will fully cover this, because it comes off so easy, you know, and then of course, you know, stuff can get down in here if you don't have a card or something like that. So unless, you know, I don't know what can be done there, but it's just a little something that I thought could be improved upon. And I've had the same issue with my PDR too, with the rubber gaskets not really fitting as snugly as one would like. See, it's not always roses, right? All right, so good question, Alejandro. Is there a limit to the SD card it takes? I don't know. That's a good question, but I do not have the answer to that. Let's see here. Dan says at B-roll audio maybe, but even something as simple as holding the up and down buttons together for 3 seconds to start stop would be great. Oh, Dan, I know exactly what you're talking about. And B-roll audio, that's a great suggestion. What they're saying is I don't even have to read to know, because you guys are totally on point with what I was thinking too. So with recording here, it would be better to have, it would not, I wouldn't say it would be better. I mean, I'm just trying to get the glare off here, guys. Okay, just bearing with me here for a moment. There we go, so you can see. Okay, there's focus. Okay, good. So, so if we go to the SD card, you know, to record, you have to go into the menu and press record, and then it stays in this menu. Now you're on stop. It just stays on stop. So if you want to stop, you just press recording saved, right? And you're done. But to record again, you got to go back to 2 clicks, click here, and then press record again. I think what the guys are saying is it would be good, like on the PDR, you can actually press and hold the up and down buttons to stop. And let's try it. Maybe I didn't try good enough. All right, so if I press record and I go back to the main menu, let me press and hold down the up buttons. No deal, okay? Having some shortcuts is a great add. So that's one thing. I'm sure Lectrosonics will watch this video. So guys, put that, if it's possible, let's put that on the wish list to have a quick record for that. Great suggestion, B-roll audio, and Dan, thank you. And if I'm completely off base on what you guys are talking about, let me know that too. All right, so, all right, what else are we going to talk about? We still got to talk about day 2, but let me get through some of these comments here. All right. Micro, much better. Nice sync. Thank you, guys. I can't believe I should know the output delay before I start. Alejandro, sorry to shout. Caps lock. Oh, that's why people do caps lock. See, I just learned something about social, Lloyd. Thank you. Hey, Paul. Thanks for being here. There's a very simple and friendly message. Michael Wynn. So I wouldn't be able to use an audio route with a distro until those batteries, with a distro unit. Aren't those batteries lithium rechargeable? Oh, Alejandro, I'm causing you confusion. I'm strictly talking about BDS, Alejandro. So, I mean, geez, I'm strictly talking about AA batteries to not use lithium rechargeable AA's. Because I just, and you should talk to Lectrosonics about that and really get the final from them about their products. But it's been my experience, others have said don't use those, because I think what I've heard is they can be a fire hazard. Okay, so but for a BDS system, absolutely you can use this with your smart batteries, no problem at all. BDS system is a completely different monster. Was just talking about the AA. So just to be clear, you can use lithium batteries, and you can use nickel metal hydride or alkaline. You just want to make sure in the battery menu, and let me show you. In the battery menu, and let me get focus here. There you go. I'm actually on manual focus because I wanted to just be able to put it where I needed to. So in settings, you go to, here, let's go ahead and turn on transmitter 2 because that's bothering me. It's not. Oh, it said stop recording first. See? Look at me. Didn't even stop recording. Let's fix that. Recording, stop, recording saved. Now let's go into settings and let's go into RX power and let's turn on receiver on and then RX battery type. See how you can choose alkaline or lithium? I currently have nickel metal hydrides and then I have it on alkaline. And the reason you want to do that is because so your battery runtime shows up correct. Your battery remaining. It judges how it is that it shows your very small, if I can get this battery thing here. There it is. I need like a very special lens for this kind of stuff. Okay, good question, Alejandro. Thank you for clarifying that. DB25. Thank you, Lloyd. Yeah, for those connectors on SuperSlot. Dan asks, I'm curious, does the scan take both receivers offline? Yes, it does, because I did a scan while listening, and the reason is that the receiver has to listen to what's out there to do that scan. But I don't know if one can stay active while the other. But so I partly can answer the question, but there might be more to that story. Good question. Michael went, so the PSC could be used instead of the Hydra system. Not trying to be off topic, just wondering if there's a way to control the 822 from the Kantar. Not that I know of right now. Not that I know of right now, Lloyd. Good question. Sounds like somebody's considering a Kantar named Lloyd. So the B-roll, for a future video, I'd love to see the Kantar AES section. Certainly. Happy to do. I've got some quick tip videos up for the Kantar X3. You know, obviously that's a very niche market for that, but there's a lot to learn on those. And I'm going to be doing some future ones that are launching very soon on that. So stay tuned for that. Curious about the talkback function. Yeah, the talkback function I have not explored as much yet, Lloyd, but I believe obviously you have to use the right transmitter that does have a talkback function, such as like a handheld or something like that. But it does have talkback function capability, and I'm going to learn some more about that too. Oh, if you're using AES, will let talkback channels use the alternate channels so you don't lose a receiver output? That's a big complaint I had with other Lectro receivers. Dan, that's something I thought about. Once again, I don't know a ton about the talkback features of this, but I did think since you have multiple channels on this unit, like 2 channels for this particular unit, that you would be able to use more advanced talkback functions in routing. So that's going to be a good question for Lectrosonics. So maybe they'll put a comment below and answer that question. Great question, Dan. Still learning this thing, guys. Still learning. Still have a lot to learn. Doc, it's great to see you here. Doc with Halter Technical. Doc's a great guy, good friend of mine. Thank you, Doc, for being here. All right. Carlos, since the 822 has an SD card slot and recording, is this just for secondary backup? Or can you jam timecode like the Lectrosonics MTCER? This does not have a timecode capability, Carlos. So this is not a timecode recorder. It does and can stamp, for some reason I can't say words, those date files. And another thing I want to mention is that I had to re-enter the system date and time in this unit. So I don't know if it somehow lost it or what the deal is, or maybe I did something wrong, but it's just something worth mentioning. So that's going to be a good question for Lectrosonics. Hey, do we have to reset the date and time on this each time we're going to be doing recording, or can it remember inside the unit? But good question. Not a time code recorder. Oh, great. We're almost through comments and questions. Okay, Michael Wynn. The paperwork for the A2 doesn't claim a max size for the SD card, but has specs for a 32 gigabyte. I mean, I would not go over 32 on this. I don't know what you guys would be planning on recording with this for 32-bit, but since you have 4 channels, I mean, I use a 32-bit card for half a day on a film set using sometimes 10 to 12 channels. So I bet you I could get through a full day on a light day. So until they say otherwise, good point, Lloyd. I wouldn't use above 32 on the card. And I wonder what size they gave me with this particular limit. So let's talk about day 2, guys. 16 is what they put in this particular card. So on day 2 is when I did the lithium battery test, because I had done the nickel metal hydride on day 1. And the difference between day 1 and day 2 was I was line of sight of a technocrane. And the reason why that's a big deal is that if you look online and so forth, you'll find some posts about some people having some issues with those remote heads on those technocranes, and also a mixer in the Atlanta community, Chris Giles, had also said a very important thing that I appreciated, that said that the technocrane sometimes extension can act as almost like an antenna in itself. So I was in a situation where my cart was positioned in a way that I had to shoot my LPDAs through a technocrane arm to get to where the boom had to be for lighting. You get the point. And it was sitting on the cart, and we started to get some really bad interference. Now, it wasn't with this. This was before I tested this. But the reason why I tell you that story is the solution was to change the antennas non-line of sight of the technocrane. We tried changing channels, changing transmitter types. I was about to go cabled if that wasn't going to work, because there was no way I was going to get defeated. I mean, worst case, you just run a cable. So anyway, the last step before running a cable was take the LPDA's non-line of sight of the set, and that solved the issue. Okay, so just be wary of technocranes, guys, and shooting through them. It can be a big issue. Okay, so this particular set, we had a technocrane again, and it was kind of line of sight. Kind of as not directly, but very close to line of sight of the set. I was probably around 200 feet, 200 to 300 feet away from the action. And once again, I had my LPDAs, my venues, everything coordinated. Now, the noise floor on that day was so high, the RF noise floor on this particular set, that I had to raise my threshold value in Wireless Designer to find clear frequencies. It couldn't do it. It was a pretty ugly RF day, kind of like RF rain. Sometimes that's why I think of bad RF as like a rainy day for a sound mixer. So it took some work, but I got everything coordinated, got everything intermod free, had all kinds of things going, like God mic, multiple channels, a Talent wireless boom, you name it. The whole deal. Also working close to line of sight, because I never shoot through Teradeks. Ever don't do that. But close to line of sight, off the side, was Teradeks running to mini cameras, transmitters, okay? So this unit was coordinated, and the venues were coordinated, and this was running on the whips, okay? And the venues were running on the LPDA. So the whips obviously have a disadvantage of not having the directional capability of LPDAs. Also, the LPDAs that I use can be attenuated as far as gain, so I can actually take down the RF noise floor if I manage my noise levels correctly. And the but just know that you could obviously tap these into your LPDAs. So you're not limited to whips, guys. You can obviously just use an SNA to go into an RF distro. Like the PSC, I have a PSC distro that gives it bias power for LPDAs. That's a whole other topic. I just wanted you guys to know you're not limited to whips. I was just explaining how a disadvantage of whips versus LPDAs in a situation. And then once again, flawless. I was floored. So listen, I don't want to make this sound like a sales pitch video for 822 because it's not. As much as I'd love to get some free money from Lectrosonics or something, they're not going to give me anything. I had to buy this with my own money, and I wanted to share this information with you guys because there's a lot of interest about this, and there's so much talk about just different wireless and digital right now. And as we know, digital wireless I think is still in a pioneering stage because there's a lot of things like microphone interference with some of the Sheps microphones on cables on certain brands. People complain about limited range issues on digital wireless. There's all of these things we hear about from all the manufacturers, including Lectrosonics, Wizicom, Audio Limited. It all goes on and on, right? None of it is perfect. But the last thing I want to leave you with, and probably one of the most important things on this specific unit, and I'll get to some questions and we can do some menu diving, guys. I'm not going to run from you, is that the vector diversity. Now, I'm not going to pretend like I somehow know how vector diversity works, and I know it uses like phase angles of some sort. Take that for a technical description. I'm just the sound mixer who has used this and has given you some experience. But I will show it to you, the two modes here. So in looking at this, I should have just used autofocus on this. Okay, so there we go. All right, come on. There it is. So if you look here into the RF setup, I think it's there. Clear scan, group edit. Diversity, vector diversity. That's where it's at. Now you also can come in, you can change it to frequency diversity. And then you have this calibrate feature that you can press. And basically that is frequency diversity, guys, is where you use two transmitters, okay, on the same talent on two separate frequencies. And then the calibration feature, what it does is it balances the output of those two signals so it doesn't overmodulate as far as the audio signal, as far as I'm concerned. Not concerned, as far as I understand. But vector diversity is where you want to be, guys. I mean, obviously. I just wanted to show you the two modes. Unless you're like, it can do the mission critical application of frequency diversity, which is using two channels and blending them, but I still believe that's a form of vector diversity using two separate receiver front ends. So, two separate receivers that have two separate RF front ends. So, anyway, I'm not going to try to explain that technically, but it's pretty amazing. But the vector diversity is, because to me, it's like we've all seen the walk test videos, Let me walk 3 miles and show you how amazing this wireless is. Never mind, I'm in the middle of a desert where there isn't a radio transmitter for, 1 million miles, and I'm getting this incredible range. And it's like, how are you doing that? That's not the real world. That's it's fun. Maybe I'll do it on my video if you want to see it. Probably not, but what the point I want to be is what we need on set is RF robustness. We need something that can deal with multi-path reflections really, really well. And so what's next is stress test for this stuff, guys. What's next for me on this is the field review. I really want to see what this can do. Why am I even doing any of this? Because I want to learn it, and I like doing it. It's fun. And the more I learn about the system and this capabilities of the system, the better mixer I'm going to be on set. All right, let's go to comments here real quick. and then do some maybe do some menu diving. If there's something, I'm not just going to go through all the menus, but if there's something you guys want to see, let me know in the comments and I'll pull it up. All right, I went to the moments ago. I don't know if you answered my question on which Sony comm system you're using. Oh, the Sony UWP-D11, Alejandro's. That's what I use for my comm systems. Sony UWP-D11s. All right. Rodolfo. Hey, buddy. Great to see you. Great to see you here. Hey, quick question. Maybe this was already mentioned. This is just a stereo receiver, right? So only 2 lavs, not 4, right? Also, hello, Michael. Yes, techno cranes are a pain. We always get hits. Yeah. I learned that too, Rodolfo. So, no, you cannot use 4 lavs with this. 2 lavs. The only way you're going to get 4 channels out of this is if you're using like a DC HX, which is a stereo transmitter, or their new IFB, I'm drawing a blank, system. The Duet. A Duet or DCHX, those can transmit stereo, but neither one of those units have a mic level input for a lav. So, good question. Good to see you, Rodolfo. Alan, it will do 4 lavs if you put 2 lavs each on stereo transmitter units. Yes, but those stereo transmitter units have to have mic input capability and 5-volt power. So I don't know if the DCHX does that, and it may, for all I know. But to me, it'd be very impractical to have 2 lavs going into one transmitter, because I'm just trying to think how that would even possibly work. All right. But yeah, I was confused too, and Alan actually helped me with that. When I first started talking about it, I was like, oh, it's 4 channels. I was like, well, kinda, but not really. But that's what happens when you have technology that's very capable. You start thinking of the possibilities, and that's the whole idea. Right. All right. Some props for Rodolfo. And then I think add 1 as wireless boom and leave talent wireless to the SRCs and the SL2. I think you're talking about, add 1 as a wireless boom and leave talent wireless to the SRCs and channel 2. And just to clarify, guys, it's really, the best way to think about it is 2 channels. That's really the best. 411 times 2 is the best way to think about this. I'm going to try to think, is there anything else we should talk about in the menu system? Let's see here. Let's do some menu diving here. So you've got RF setup, audio setup, compatibility modes, SD card. Oh, IR sync. I didn't talk about that. I did test that. You can sync your transmitters via the IR port. I will admit it's a little weird and awkward to do that. Like, I had to kind of by the time I'm trying to line it up and press the buttons, I could have already just pressed it into the transmitter. But, still cool to have. Just not my preferred method. So you can send, you can send and transmit, providing it is a digital receiver. So you can send both ways on that IR. That's cool. Or you can just send to, like if it's an SMWV or SMV. Not SMV, I said the wrong thing. SMWV or SMDWV. I'm mixing everything up. Don't even listen to me. Key type. Right. Okay, that's for like digital encryption, all that kind of stuff. And then settings. Of course you can change your backlight. Let me do a good job keeping it to where you guys can see, so I'm not like torturing everybody. Always on, 30 seconds, 5 seconds. What's interesting, I wonder if you can still see the screen. I think you can still see the screen when the backlight goes off. Let's see what happens here. Because I'm going to see, this is an OLED. Oh, no, you're not going to be able to see that without a backlight. Never mind. Okay. So I like to keep it usually at Oh, sorry. Trying to do a good job here, guys. I keep failing on you guys with this. I need like a gaffer here to help me with the lighting. I'm a sound guy. I suck at this. Okay. So, backlight, 30 seconds. There we go. Receiver power. As you guys know, you can turn the receivers on and off. Great for saving power, because obviously there's no sense in having both on if you're just using one, because you're going to get more battery power like that. RX battery type, lithium, alkaline. I was so glad to see alkaline here, because that to me means nickel metal hydride. Here's something interesting. There's a recycling center that does a really good job here in Atlanta, that we take a lot of the stuff that normally can't be recycled via our normal recycling. Speaking of battery recycling, and I had a bucket full of batteries, and they said that they cannot take alkaline. They said they can take nickel metal hydride or lithium, but there's something about the glue that's used in an alkaline battery that's different than nickel metal hydride, that can't be recycled. So I won't use alkaline batteries anymore. Only nickel metal hydride and lithium. Maybe it's just that recycling center, but they're pretty good at what they do and can recycle like anything. Paints, everything. All right. So, all right. I meant to type. I'll probably add one for wireless booms and leave the SRCs for the Talent Wireless. Okay, so guys, I'm going to leave you with this. And I want to first say thank you, everyone, for being here. And I feel like we covered a lot of ground, because there was a lot of questions on like kind of how was it on the, oh, I'm about to lose battery on this, so let me change a battery real quick. Stand by. I'm going to do a hot swap situation, actually. Oh, I need to show you the 411 thing anyway, so stand by here. Let's see here. Okay, I'm literally moving around the room. This is very professional, I know, but I do want to show you guys something. Okay, I am not lobbed here, but I do want to show you the size difference of the 411s. I don't even know why I'm talking. You guys can't hear anything. Body by Crafty. I saw that on a t-shirt one time. I got to get one. Okay. All right. So here they are, side by side. Now, as you can see, now this can fit in all of the same accessories as the 411. Like these things are exactly, well, see how it's just a little taller? But what's interesting is the body size is the exact same. I mean, listen, man, here's what I love about these guys. Okay. If I was to say anything, it's compatible with the old stuff. You know, that means a lot to me. Because you guys think recorders are expensive. Wireless is way more expensive than everything else we buy. It's more expensive than microphones. It's more expensive than the recorders, the carts, everything. It's the most expensive thing that we own. So it's a very important purchase. So to me, it's like, you know, if I spend, I'm just going to throw out a number. Let's say I spend $60,000 on wireless, okay? I want to get 10 years out of that, okay? And just doing the math. I mean, if I can get 10 years, I got all my money's worth, all of it. But what they do really, really well, so you know, you might have bought the, you know, SMWBs or digital hybrid wireless like 3 years ago, right? You know, I've continually, you know, it just didn't happen all at once with wireless. And you announce something new and you say, oh, we're going digital now. Oh, but sorry, none of your old wireless work. No, that's not going to earn my business for the long term. Okay. So when they say, okay, here's the new digital system, but don't worry, your your digital hybrid wireless, and everything we've made for the last 10 years or whatever the number is works with this. That's it. Customer for life. And, you know, because it's so damn expensive. Now, if this stuff was expendable money, you know, and you're like, oh, hey, it doesn't work with your old stuff. Whatever. I don't care. You know, that's just kind of a thought. And, you know, so kudos to them for doing that. And thank you. Thank you. On behalf of the sound community, thank you, Lectrosonics, for making sure that our investments are lasting as long as they should. So, guys, that's about it out of me. From here, I would only go downhill anyway, so I don't want to do that to you guys. I appreciate you being here and supporting this channel. So, I forgot to tell you one last thing. We stay tuned on the stress test video, and I call it a stress test video. I don't know what it's going to be. It's going to be something cool. Sound utility, Mr. Michelli, Patrick Michelli, who was working with me on the last project, he's going to come and help me film. Whenever I try to do these videos, I usually need one more person, so I'm thankful for him for that. So I just wanted to mention that. He's helped me with some of the other videos. And, here's what I want to show you. Not this. Oh my God, what's falling down? Okay, hold on. See, this is laziness. I should be standing up. All right. There it is. Okay. This is a surprise. And I'll show you this later. And I hate to do you like that, but I just wanted to let you know. There's something in here that's a surprise. That will coincide with the field review. And with that, make sure you guys subscribe, hit the notifications tab so you know when content is coming available as we continue to expand on the DCR822 and also future upcoming videos. I appreciate all of you for all of your questions and contributing. And good night, and we'll see you soon.